Well, welcome everybody to another Workshop Wednesday casual conversations for serious workflows brought to you by School of Bookkeeping, where you can learn QuickBooks your way. Hi, Rachel. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. That is sarcasm.
Oh no, you're not good today?
Well, with all of the news yesterday, I was trying to decide how we were going to talk about today's topic, which is actually connected with the news yesterday that Intuit just kind of dumped on everybody because it's that season, it's that time of
Yeah,
year.
I know they always do that around this time of year, but I didn't hear the news yesterday because guess what I was doing yesterday?
Working.
Level 2 recertification
Oh,
done.
there you go.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And I'm sure it's already outdated because of all of the changes.
Yeah. So now tell me exactly what the heck I'm gonna have to relearn.
Yeah, I just signed my engagement contract for updating or doing the technical editing for the QBO for Dummies book this year, which I'm imagining the topic that we're going to be talking about and how the user interface is changing is going to be horribly difficult to write uh,
Does it have
because it's
something to do with this, like, increased API connection? Is that what it is?
no,
Okay,
no.
never mind
So
then. I saw somebody post something about that,
yeah.
but unrelated. Okay.
So yesterday, Intuit announced. I don't know. It's a double-edged punch, right? A double-edged sword. What 1-2 punch? You know, like when you get you get some feedback with some compliments in it. You know, it's
Uh-huh.
kind of like which is it,
Yeah.
right? So all the accountants and bookkeepers, of course, are focused on the pricing changes that
Mhm.
are going on with QuickBooks Online because that just updates.
That's always
That,
a
that
thing,
it's
and
always a thing. Like
yep.
what am I paying for? Blah 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 blah. Um, but we are historically in a an annual thing where with QuickBooks Online they update the prices around June or announce the prices around June, July, because their fiscal year actually starts August 1st. So that's why typically a lot of these things seem to happen in the summer. This is also their fourth quarter, which is typically also where you see reorganizations and
Mhm.
labor force changes and things like that as they're kicking up for the new fiscal year. So with the announcement of pricing updates, they tried to put at the beginning of the email notification and the articles why why
Mhm.
they're doing this, right? And so what's coming out, Intuit has made um, no qualms or mistakes or whatever. They haven't hidden the fact that they have bet their company on AI and
Mhm.
Intuit Assist, which has been long been waiting. We've been waiting for something to be like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
Mhm.
So the shape that this is taking place inside of QuickBooks Online is under this naming convention of AI agents, right? So basically, there's um, there's little agents lurking inside of your inside of your QuickBooks. Imagine, hopefully they're not gremlins, but they're little helpers, right? They're helpers, but they're trained specifically for a specific task, right?
Okay.
So for
You're talking about not real people, you're talking about bots and agent
right,
assist, right?
yeah,
Okay. I was like,
AI
"Wait,
agent.
maybe he's talking about people?" I don't know. He kinda lost me at
Well,
at
they
at
that's the
elves.
term that they're that's the term that they're using. And when we were at Intuit Connect, Sasan was talking about AI driven experts,
Mhm.
right? And that expert could be a human or it could be a digital agent. And what we're talking about right now is the digital agent or
Ugh.
person. So,
Yeah, I was going to say expert AI digital
yeah,
agent is a little bit of an oxymoron because I've asked AI a lot of accounting questions, and some
right,
of the answers I get are scary.
right. So with each flavor of QuickBooks, Simple Start, Essentials, Plus, and Advanced, you get a varying number of agents within those subscriptions, right? So Simple Start, you get um, well, basically smart categorization and expense. So like the rules
Yeah.
and the bank feeds and those types of things.
Mm-hmm.
But in Essentials, you get an accounting agent, a payments agent if you have QuickBooks Payments, and then in Plus you get a customer agent, an enhancement of the accounting agent, um, and then well, that's it. And then in Advance, you get all of those agents plus a finance agent, a project management agent, and that's it. So
Hmm.
there's a total of 7 of these agents, right? And they're just supposed to be there helping you, right? Um, so with that, they're also unveiling this combined user interface that they're trying to change, or trying to incorporate some of the other things that are in the Intuit ecosystem. So I got my hot little hands on a prototype.
Oh, yeah, because
So
I
I'm
think we've seen a little bit of it here and there, right? Like I'm seeing
right.
some interface changes, but I don't think I've seen the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. So I'm gonna share the. Oh, I meant to share this article, so I put it in the comments there. But that's the Firm of the Future article talking about the AI agents and the innovation here. And let me quickly share my screen. There it is. So
Oh, yeah.
this is the user interface that they are currently beta testing, right? And you might, as a bookkeeper or an accounting professional, stumble across a client who has opted into or has activated this beta test. It's somewhere in the neighborhood of like 60,000 things, right? And they are testing um, two different two different iterations of this. So it may look like
Oh.
this, it may not look like this, or it may look like something that you're familiar with.
I
You know,
did see this though in somebody's account. I forget who, but
yeah,
I did see it because I remember that apps thing.
yeah,
It's under apps.
right. So we're just gonna,
Yeah.
and it's the whole idea, and I think what the whole idea is, I'm totally speculating because I don't, they don't tell me anything, so I just either find it out myself um, or just happen to stumble across something. But here is like a prototype of concept of one of the concepts, and then here is a prototype of another one. So this kind of looks like the one that they're showing up in that screenshot there.
Mhm.
Um, but you can see, I mean, as an accountant, you pop into a, a client like this expecting this,
Yeah.
right? You're expecting the side menu of what you're used to and the things at the top and your dashboard. Maybe you have like some business overview on the dashboard, but then you come over and it's like this. So you're like, where is everything? Like
Yeah. I
now you
can't.
have
Yeah, that's hard.
now you have to and then they're also, as I was kind of poking around in here, they're changing some of the terminology. So this reminds me of um, you know when they had that business view versus the
Yeah.
accountant view, and then based on all of the accountant feedback, they got rid of the business view.
Mhm.
But now they're doing this. This is like business view on steroids
I
because
know, it's
where
awful. I can't stand it because all I wanna do is just go to the things I need to go. I don't want it constantly changed, but, I mean, like, people have brought this up before. They're a software company, right? And
hmm
they're not even necessarily it's not even necessarily about being a ledger, it's just software, and so they wanna sell to as many people as possible.
hmm
And So they are catering to and making it try to be, you don't need to be an accountant to use it. You can just be like regular Joe business owner. And look, we're just going to make it look agnostic, for you.
Right.
And so I don't need all that. But
Yeah.
I mean, I understand why they do it. To me,
Yeah.
it's just a pain.
The biggest thing is the changing of the terminology of
That I
apps.
hate. I hate, and guess what else I hate? I hate when they changed undeposited funds
Mm,
to payments to
payments.
deposit. It's like,
Mm,
stop. Just have people understand what undeposited fund means.
mhm. Yeah. Which, if you try to type it to somebody, it's an misspelled word. So Word, Microsoft Word doesn't understand the word
Oh my
undeposited.
gosh. Oh my goodness.
But let's just kind of go through some of the navigational changes because this prototype here doesn't have any data in it anyway, so I really can't, go into like transactions and things like that. But we have, our plus new button, which is now just called create. And then you have all of your main transactions to create, which is the plus button. So kind of going over here, this guy here has just kind of turned into this guy, right? So you've got this menu here, and then you have shortcuts, which is just like what you had before with bookmarks, but now they're called shortcuts, just to keep you on your toes. And then you have this dashboard, which gives you, your basic things that you had seen before, but just all on one page, right? So you've got this business feed here, um, and then some insights, and then widgets that you can add to the dashboard that you had seen before, and then this slider up here at the top uh, called My Apps. Now, apps is not the apps that we would be familiar with like a third party app that integrates with QuickBooks because this is called Customer Hub, Sales and Get Paid, Marketing, Accounting, Spend, Sales Tax, right? So those are key or core functions of QuickBooks, and they're just now calling them apps, right? Because and I started learning this kind of terminology with when we were working with Method, right? Because Method calls, the same. There's the functionality inside it will be called an app, even though you may have a third party application
Yeah.
also connected to it as
Yeah.
well,
People
right?
use
So
that term for everything. I do too.
yeah, so you can go to the major sections like the Customer Hub, which now has an overview, customers, leads, proposals, and reviews. Now, reviews, that's new. That's something new. This is where we're starting to see an incorporation of other things in the Intuit ecosystem, like Mailchimp, right?
Hmm.
So if you have a QuickBooks account and a Mailchimp account, it makes sense that your QuickBooks and your Mailchimp are kind of talking to each other, because if you're going to be creating these journeys and repeat business and sending SMS messages or emails or social posts, why not have some of that data from QuickBooks filling in some of that information on those emails or information that you're sending out of QuickBooks, right? So that's where things are taking quite a bit of change here. So now that you have this My Apps here on the left side, now it's a little bit familiar from what you're seeing. It's just different colors, right? So it's not as whitewashed, I guess is,
Yeah.
is the best way.
Do they let us
But
customize those colors though?
oh no,
Oh
I
man.
don't even know. I don't even know what these
Icons.
mean, right?
Yeah.
Like like sales tax looks like a shield.
Ugh.
Um, spend I don't know. It's a what are these things, right? So,
I don't know. So
um,
are we saying we don't like this? Is that what we're saying?
well, if anybody loves change, it's accountants and bookkeepers, right? I mean, it's uh, it's just something new to get used to.
Yeah.
And of course, the first time that you go into a client that has this, it's going to be terribly frustrating to experience this. We're like, where is everything?
Yeah.
Where did if you're a mouse, going through a maze to find the cheese, and now someone has moved the cheese,
Who moved my cheese?
right? So like it makes a little it the idea is that it would make intuitive sense. I mean, that's the name of the company, is to be
Yeah.
intuitive. Um, but when you are a power user of QuickBooks or something like that,
Yeah.
and you're so familiar with going, clicking here, doing things, maybe you have your own bookmarks set up, um, those types of things, and then it's completely different the next time that you go
Yeah.
into it.
Well, that just goes to
It's
show that they
frustrating.
don't care about power users. It's not their concern. They're thinking new users. That's it. New users that can now look at this new dashboard and go, oh, I can figure that out. That makes sense to me. Like that to me is the only thing they
Yeah.
care about, selling new
Well,
subscriptions.
I don't know that I 100% agree with that, because over the course of my years at Intuit, I've gone through a lot of updates and changes and things,
Yeah.
and I've heard initially people hate it. But as people get used to it and then they change it again, people hate the new change. But they will
Yeah.
but they don't say go back to the way things were before this change happened this first time. No,
Right.
they
Right.
like the way
Yeah.
things get changed too, because they get accustomed to it,
Yeah.
right? So, this is just that first reaction, to
Yeah, but
something being completely changed.
I will say, like, my point being is I don't love it when they deviate from, to me, it's an accounting software. It's not a
Yeah,
do all things software. So
yeah,
when you, and I'm not saying, I disagree with the color scheme or the UI or whatever, but when you are changing names and you're getting away from the, name of something that, somebody may have even gone to school to get educated on, these common accounting
hmm
names. Don't change it to some non-existent name that doesn't even have a place in bookkeeping and accounting, because
right,
that's where, go ahead and make it pop in color and, easy on the eyes, or all the things that you want to do for your software. But when you're taking it away from standardization, when it
yeah,
comes to accounting rules, that's where I'm like, don't do that. That I can't
yeah,
stand.
yeah, and this may ultimately end up where we're back at this business view and accountant view, right? Where someone is like, I just need it to not change,
Yeah.
and I need to know my way around, because if you're going in, you got somebody that's doing bookkeeping, or today's reconciliation day for all my clients, right? And then they start to go in here and like, "Well, how do I get around and do these reconciliations? What are the screens themselves, once you're in them, are likely not going to change. It's just getting to them, because this user interface, right, to get to
Yeah.
those places is what's going to change. Now, it's my understanding, for those people who use Right Tool, Hector Garcia and Mark Corum's awesome Chrome extension, um, that they have actually been working with them to make sure that their bookmarks and links and things, those their tasks that they're doing to help keep those efficiencies up and running, are not being impacted by this whole user interface change.
Good. Because I'm a right
So,
tool user and I can't have anything happen to my right tool.
right. And I don't think Hector would want that either.
No.
Right? Because, you go around and looking around in here, it's like, well, how is this going to work with that sort of thing? But just kind of going down the left side, then you've got this business feed here, which is, where this is the international Intuit symbol for the AI Intuit Assist. So by clicking on feed, you can get an idea that this is where the generative AI of Intuit showing up here inside of your QuickBooks, right? So you're going to see things like, okay, there were invoices that were paid. Um, what do you want to do with that? So giving you the next logical step in the workflow for something that has happened, right? So whether you've got invoices that are overdue, you can create some reminder emails if you want to from there, and then you can use that different tones, right there, and to write the invoices or write the reminders or emails or whatever it is that you want to do right from your QuickBooks. And if this is then incorporated with Mailchimp, right, then you'll have those features and functions that'll be available to use. But that's where you have the feed, right, and then you've got your reports in here where you can go into the reports. And I did like this a little bit because one thing about the other report, the current reports is unless you know what you're looking for, you you kind of
Yeah.
have to know what you're looking for. So
Yeah.
I do like that they grouped.
Oh
They put the
yeah, I
groups
like that. Yeah.
here, so you don't have to just keep scrolling down to find
Yeah,
it.
that is
Uh,
helpful.
and then actually those are just easier. Well, let's see. They don't seem to be categories, but again, this is a prototype, so it may not actually be working. But you have your sections up here at the top,
Yep.
um, and of course, I'm assuming this is QBO Advanced and not any other flavor of QuickBooks. We did talk about the My Apps, so that's where you would see everything else, right? And then integrations is what we would traditionally call apps, right? So this is where
Oh, okay. Well,
this is where you would see
I hope
apps.
that they have done some improvements to this. I have to tell you, like the apps center in QBOA accountant, not advanced,
Hmm.
is for me never works properly. And so I can't see my apps, my clients' apps. I can't launch the apps like you would think that you're able to. There's a lot of problems that I'm always having with that. So I like that I can hover and then see. And man, if I can access that way, that would be a good thing.
Yeah. Now you're probably going to have the same obstacles that you had in the past, right? I mean, because there are some apps that can only be launched by the person who connected them, right? So if that was your
Yeah.
client who connected them, or if it's the firm accountant or whoever happened to connect them, you may have some
Yeah,
obstacles
I
there
know
of
that
launching said
could
app.
be, yeah, that could be a problem with some of them, but like these ones I'm thinking of in particular, I have connected them, so I don't know why it's giving me
Mm.
trouble, but I don't know.
Who knows? And then there's this automations section here, which looks like you can send some reminders, notify about a purchase
Mhm.
order update, things that we would typically see under workflows.
Yeah.
It looks like automations are in there because tasks and workflows, which were kind of the connect the function that had to do with things being done automatically, it does make a little bit more sense to actually just call it automations, right? Because those are triggered events. And then discover, which is all the things that they want to advertise to you in there.
Mhm.
Um, and then we have our other options over here. So we have some tools, right? So we have our tasks up here, a payment processor, which is kind of cool. You can, if you just want to make a payment or take a payment, you can just put that in here and charge a card.
Oh, that's pretty
Um,
cool. Yeah, because I do know that just even taking the level 2 exam yesterday, one of the new features is being able to do a recurring
invoice.
ACH. E-
Nope. What? You've forgotten it already.
Not a recurring invoice, but
Oh,
a recurring payment directly from the, could we not do recurring payments before?
You could do them, but you had to set them up as recurring transaction of a sales receipt, right? And a lot of people still have this attachment to invoices,
Yeah,
um,
it's not that.
which we're actually going to talk about next week. So you're kind of
Okay. Yeah,
well,
because I do recurring sales receipts
yeah.
every month, but it's not that. It's the fact that you can now access it somewhere else.
Mm.
I just saw it was just on the test yesterday. I'll have to find
So
out. But
you
anyway,
remembered
there's
it
a lot
long.
of new cool
You
stuff.
remembered it long enough to
Yeah.
answer the question. Then we have contacts here, which I'm not quite sure what you can do there, but I'm sure it's pulling in either from your customer list or um,
Maybe MailChimp.
your Mailchimp
Yeah.
contacts as well.
Contacts.
And then we have a calendar as well inside of QuickBooks. So you can add.
Wow, wait a
This
minute.
says
Is
you can
that
add.
like syncing with a Google Calendar or something like that? Or is that just a calendar feature in
Your guess is as good as mine.
that there was never a calendar feature in
Right,
there?
right. So
All
people
right.
who live in QuickBooks, if they can incorporate their calendar, that would be kind of cool to, oh, I gotta
Mhm.
jump out because I have a meeting or something, right?
Mhm.
And then there's other tools here that you can add. I can't even click on any of these things, so that's what the limitation of this
Mm.
prototype here. But we have bookmarks and recent activity documents. So if you want to access the documents, so it'll just give you more options across the top. Now that's one particular prototype. They're testing another one. So here's the other one, right? So this one already has the instead of coagulating everything under my apps, right, it's already got the customer hub, the
Yeah.
sales, and so it's already very, so this one's a little bit of more of a less of um, a change
Yeah, this
because
one I was going to say I like a little bit better. The front dashboard doesn't look so much like a Google search like the previous one did.
right. So you have these things already in here, like you can go into sales tax, and then you have your sub menus that show
Mhm.
up. So one thing is, you don't have this hunting like you did with the sub menus in over here, right? So if you're like, I want to go to my sales tax center, I got to go to taxes and uh, no, trying
Yeah.
to click on it, it's this hunt and destroy here. So rather than clicking on taxes, which takes you to a whole new page, and then you go to sales tax, here, this just, you can click on it, and then there's the sub menus right there.
Yeah.
It's static. You don't have to go, change the view that you're having here. But these views in here are intentionally left blank. This is kind of like a financial document.
Yeah.
And you get a prospectus or something, and it says this page intentionally left
I
blank.
mean, um I guess I don't really know why they feel the need to like I don't know, is that like so much of a problem that they need to fix that? Or is it that, there's
Yeah,
people like Hector Garcia that are reducing clicks? So, they have to make it as easy to click on as possible just because as a response. You know what I mean? That's what I'm wondering. Um,
yeah.
because
It,
I don't necessarily look at the way QuickBooks is right now and go, oh man, like if only. But I get the need to always improve it and,
mhm,
always have it be, I guess, easier to navigate around. But I guess what I'm trying to say is there are some people I know that love every bell and whistle. And so, there's always a spectrum of people. There's like the people that are like, yes, I love every change. I love, all of these things and I'll use every single one. Then, there's people like me, like in the middle. I'll use, if you give me all these changes, I'll end up using, most of them at some point, and I'll certainly adapt to them. But I guess they're just counting on the fact that people will just get used to it.
yeah. And I think from my time there, um, these people work really hard at trying to come up with these new features, right?
Mhm.
And we just talked about one of them that was pretty cool that people didn't use tags, right? So
Yeah.
you know if the problem that they have is that people don't discover these new tools, right? So they never use them,
Yeah.
unless they know what they're looking for. What I see here is that this is, I think what they're trying to do is make the entry point to QuickBooks very simple, right? And like, because I know some business owners, they just go in and they check a couple things, right? So if they can tie workflows to the things that they check a couple
Yeah.
things on, right?
Yeah.
So like I can see, like, here's this leads pipeline, 5 new leads. Okay, well that might be interesting to me, whoever happens to be logging in, and then it will take them, to the next thing of what do I do with that. So now by incorporating, MailChimp in the sales pipeline type of thing. Now, you know, the people who are concerned about some of these things, they will go into QuickBooks and start there first, and then potentially use all of the things that they can
Yeah.
use,
And
right?
that is good because I mean, I do appreciate that. On the one hand, they increase the prices a lot, but on the other hand, they're like, well, but we want to make all this stuff visible to you, so you're using
Right.
it, which I appreciate.
Yeah. And then with the incorporation, I guess, with these AI agents, you'll start to get these uh, suggestions, right? So that be like, hey, you can get somebody paid faster if you use QuickBooks Payments, or it'll
Hmm.
start to. Hopefully, it doesn't turn into an Intuit marketing machine of like, hey, with payroll, you could do
Yeah.
this, and try to get people to switch payroll providers when it ain't broke, don't fix it, and
Yeah.
that's what I hear coming from you, is that like, hey, why are we going through this when there's so many other things that are broken that we
Yeah. Well,
really should
because
be
and I know,
developing.
like, even not just for me, but I know for a lot of other people, they already do feel like it's a, self promotion um, tool for a
Hmm.
lot of these other things. So I just, there's nothing to do for us except for either accept it or not. So I'd
Right.
rather just accept it and be like, okay, cool. If there's something I can learn from it or improve upon, great. But for me, if this user interface is constantly changing, it for me borders
It,
on aggravating because I don't
yeah,
want it to slow me down.
going to be
But
terribly frustrating if okay, this is the way things look, and then based on feedback they remove lending, for example,
yeah,
from
yeah,
this icon somewhere else, or now all the people that knew where lending was, now it's somewhere else,
yeah,
right?
that's really frustrating. But I mean, if it can help, people find the things maybe that were previously
Yeah.
hidden and they couldn't figure out where to go, then that's fine.
I think this iteration looks very, it's more of a stepping stone and not a big of a drastic one as this one. The biggest thing that I noticed here, short of, the icons being here on the left side and the other groupings here at the top, is that your tools are here along the side, right? So
Mm,
instead of them being across the top, um, they're showing here on the side, and then you have an expandable uh, option to bring those up. But
yeah.
those are the same ones, your bookmarks or tasks and calendar and payment processor. The same tools are there. It's just how you navigate to all of these things. Oh, and it looks like you can actually just pop it out, but of course that doesn't work in the prototype. Right? So there is an option if you find that a client has opted into this. There typically is an option to opt out, but this is one of those things that they're probably going to continue to make these changes with or without you opting in or
Yeah.
out. Right? So it's probably something to get used to, as opposed to just trying to avoid the inevitable. Like
Yeah.
sweeping back the ocean with a broom. Right? It's not going to be something that um, you yourself as one person are going to. But Intuit does listen to feedback. They are listening to the feedback of the people who are beta testing this out. If you make them limit that to half of the sample size by having these people opt out of the beta test, then they have less people to hear from, and make things a little better. But you won't see this until July, right? So you
Oh,
won't
I was
start seeing.
just going to ask you, when do you think
Yeah,
this will come
yeah.
out?
Looks like this is going to be rolling out in new pricing, new versions that will be in July timeframe. So after
Okay.
July 1st, this is going to happen in phases, right? It's not going to be everyone. It's going to flip all at once. So that period, that grace period, I guess, where you have some clients in the old and some clients in the new, is going to be a challenge. Which I guess this is the time of year to do that and not tax season.
Yeah.
When especially when people are trying to get out payroll forms and 1099s and all the things in January, and then do the tax returns and all that stuff after that. So I guess this is the best time to do that. There is never a good time to make a huge user interface overhaul, but we wanted to at least give you a taste of of what this would potentially look like. Um, which do you like better, right? Like, do you like concept B or concept A? We'll put that in
B.
the
I
comments.
like B.
All right. So Rachel says B. I tend to agree because I think from someone who uh, kind of it's a stepping stone as far as the change, and it still incorporates, I think, the major changes that they're trying to do. It doesn't change the whole idea of apps,
I
which is that
still,
terminology.
as long as I can still use right tool, I don't care. That for me doesn't change because I
Right.
always use the plus in that
Hmm.
setup. So that's where my brain always goes. So they can change this all they want, you know.
All right. Well, we appreciate you joining us this week, and hopefully this was helpful. Next week we are going to be talking about the enhancements to QuickBooks Payments, so like tap to pay, recurring invoices, and sending invoices where the customer pays the fee. So we'll chat on that next week.
Yeah, we need to talk about that. I
All
need
right.
to figure out exactly how to do that.
All right. Well, we'll see you next week on Workshop Wednesday, and I hope everybody has a great day.